Hey, this is Greg Berger, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Welcome to the Pullbag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with the rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pullbag.
Nice dino, good dino, sweet dino. Won't you step into the nice spaceship for blood? Pretty please, pretty please. Nice dino, good dino, with sugar on top and a cherry and some whipped cream. Nice dino, good dino, sweet dino.
Me, Grimlock, not nice dino. Me, bash brains.
Hello and welcome to the Pullbag. This is episode 8. I am one of your hosts, Steve, Joe, and Mike. Joining me is Spada the Baltmatrix. Hello. And Scotty Cash from Pop Culture Network. Hello.
I thought that this isn't the Power Rangers show we do?
No.
Oh, I'm so confused. I'm just kidding. How you doing? Thanks, Mike. I was totally joking. You're like, oh, duh.
You didn't read the email? What the hell is wrong with
joke.
No, I know. But no, the Pullbag is GCRN's comic book podcast. It's all, I've said this before in every episode to this point, it's all Steve Megatron's fault. He got me reading Batman with Death of the Family, and we needed a place after the events of Death of the Family to put our comic book stuff without having it clog up the main podcast, the flagship show at Geekcast Radio Network. So that's where this show is, and I wanted to do something unique and different with this versus just, hey, let's review comics, which we'll do that later on in this episode, but to kind of do, like a question and answer type of deal, and I've had several different people on, pretty much, with the exception of this episode, every other, question and answer episode has been all the odd episodes, episode 3, episode 5, episode 7. This is the first one where it's been a little even. Oh boy. So Scotty, let's start with you. Was there a specific moment as a kid where you got into comics? Was there a certain family member or something that got you into comics, or how did you start reading comics?
Well, actually reading comics was probably around the time that the X-Men cartoon came out. Mm-hmm. Was it the Uncanny X-Men? Yeah. And that's kind of where my love for comics comes from, is I can't get enough of something, so I go in deeper within, side stories or comic books or regular books and stuff like that, and I just couldn't get enough of that cartoon because I was absolutely in love with it, so I started collecting comics. Now, I probably bought in Superman comics here or there, maybe looked at the pictures, never read it. I never read a comic until that cartoon was on the air. Mm. But that's how I got started.
What about you, Spada? Where do you start in the whole comic book realm?
Actually, it's thanks to my dad.
Interesting.
He got me Fantastic Four number 300.
Oh, awesome.
And, of course, it was the one where Johnny Storm and Alicia Masters got married, but if you're a Fantastic Four fan, you know that Alicia Masters was actually a Skrull named Lila.
Oh, boy.
I'm surprised you remember that.
It came up like a couple of years before. Well, it came up just before they rebooted the entire universe with the Onslaught thing.
Hmm. That was a while back.
Yeah, that was a while ago. So yeah, that was my first comic book. Now I had some comics here or there. Like I have the original Transformers Car Wash of Doom comic, mint, sealed. Don't ask me. I have no idea where I got it. No idea. But I've been reading comics ever since, and I had quite a substantial comic book collection until a water pipe in my parents' house burst and destroyed all my comics.
Oh.
Yeah, we're looking. I oddly enough, the month before, I had them all appraised, and it was around $30,000 worth of comics.
Oh my god. So I guess me putting in the Armada Optimus Prime joke is a bad thing right about now. Wow, that sucks.
Yeah, because I had pretty much, in the early 90s, they pretty much rebooted just about everything or started up new stuff of everything. And I had every single original Image comic and their super hard to get, like the foiled ones, the silver foiled, the gold foiled. I had a comic that there were only 500 of them made. It was the original X-Force, the first issue. It was the fold-out cover that was all 4 of the covers that they produced on one cover, and it was like gilded in like that stupid gold.
Oh, wow.
And that thing alone was worth, at the time, like $4,000.
Oh my god.
That's no good.
Yeah, that's not good at all. So, Scotty, what are you currently reading these days? Are you Marvel, DC, any other, like, outside of the big two?
I haven't read a Marvel comic book since, I don't know, it's probably been 15, 20 years, but I was reading a lot of the New 52 stuff. I was reading, like, Green Lantern, Superman, Action Comics, Batman and Robin, actually. Maybe Nightwing. There was a couple of them I was reading where I just kind of I kept up with Superman and Action Comics, and then when I heard it was going to like stop again or like reboot or whatever, I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. And then I started reading Transformers, and then sometimes I'll find something like a side story that I want to read, like I guess it would be Marvel. It was like Marvel's Iceman, like 1 through 4, and it was like from like 1987. So I picked it up. I picked it up on eBay and read it, and then, just random stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm pretty much decent. The only thing from Marvel that I read outside of the cinematic universe tie-ins that they do, they've done an Iron Man 3 two-parter leading up to the movie. The only thing that I started reading from Marvel is Superior. Well, actually, I started at the end of Amazing. Spada, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm into Superior Spider-Man, but other than that, I am a DC guy. I read pretty much almost everything that they put out, and right now, Nightwing is my favorite book because I believe that Dick Grayson is Batman's the legend. Dick Grayson is kind of like the Spider-Man of the DC universe, the Peter Parker of the DC universe. To me, he's the everyman that anyone can relate to at some point or another. But yeah, I'm loving where Kyle Higgins is taking Nightwing. And if you find listeners, go back a couple episodes. I actually interviewed Kyle Higgins a couple weeks ago. Very awesome. He's taking over Batman Beyond Unlimited coming later this summer. That's going to be interesting.
Yes.
No, it's going to be so good because he is.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Kyle is one of those people that he is like our generation to the point of because he was born in '85, but he's in our generation where he grew up with DC Animated Universe and he loves that mythology and he's basically going to play with that and flush out the stories that were never told in the cartoons and stuff, and it's so awesome. What about you, Spada? What are you currently reading? You read a lot of stuff, don't you?
Well, yeah, I do, but let's see. Green Lantern. I've been reading Green Lantern since Jeff Johns took over for the book way back in, what was that, like 2004, 2005. And I've been reading everything from Green Lantern and all of their sub-books, Red Lanterns, New Guardians, the Core. I really like Green Lantern, and that's kind of funny because my dad grew up on Green Lantern. I'm also reading all the Transformers stuff from IDW. I've been reading the Transformers stuff since they started back in, with Dreamwave. When was that? That was in the mid-90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, early to mid-90s. Yeah.
And I made it through All Hail Megatron. Ugh. But after that, things have gotten a lot better. I'm reading the new He-Man comics. Those are actually really cool.
Yeah, I like the new ongoing that DC has, and I like the 2 origin stories, Origin of He-Man and Origin of Skeletor they did. That miniseries last year, I don't.
Was that the one where he lost his memory and then got it back?
I think so.
That was the web comic.
Okay.
No, the miniseries was the 6-issue miniseries where the only thing I can remember is at some point the part of the origin story for Adam was he was a farmer's son, and I was like, oh my god, what is this?
And it turned out it was like all a trick on Skeletor from Skeletor.
Yeah, I have to go back and read those 6 issues.
They didn't want to kill him, so they made him forget or something like that.
Yeah. It was like, well,
he was X-Men.
Yeah, it's like, I could have killed you, but making you live this life of squalor was so much more satisfying. It's like, really, Skeletor? Because that's a dumb idea.
Yeah. But this new ongoing that DC has going, we've only, to this point of this recording, only the first issue has come out. And oh my god, where they started this story, I cannot believe.
And the Horde invading? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that, but the fact that, and spoilers, because this will be out this coming Saturday, spoilers, for anyone who hasn't read it yet, the sorceress is dead. Like, that's, to my knowledge, that is never,
and it's not Hordak either, it's She-Ra.
Yeah, it's Allura.
Allura.
Allure's Voltron. Get your head out of your lion, Spada.
Well, I was
head out of your lion, Spada.
Sorry, Fluffy. So I was also reading Voltron mentioning. I was also reading the Voltron comics because they had a couple of comics running as well, and they just went off the rails. I mean, they just got real dumb real fast, and not in the oh, this is campy dumb. It was the okay, this is even unbelievable for Voltron dumb.
Yeah, I guess I'm reading some of the Transformers comics too. I mean, currently I'm not reading them because I've stopped. But the Next Generation, the Rage of the Dinobots miniseries, I was reading, and then sometimes if Dirt over at Pop Culture Network, if he's on like a real good story and he's like, look, even if it's something I don't even care about, if he's like, you ought to read this, I'll borrow the books from him and I'll read, even if it's like number 51 of Catwoman to number 55. I'm just giving a pure example here, but if he's like, this is a really good story, then I'll give it a read.
I'm just now getting into Transformers comics, and oh my god, like the main reason why I got in was like, ooh, Transformers Prime, Rage of the Dinobots, interesting.
Me too.
And because although, and I'm pretty sure Scotty's going to call me a blasphemer for saying this, I am like, I know Grimlock's the leader, I know he's the main character, but I am so sick of him being the star. I want Swoop or Slag or, and yes, I say Slag because Slug is the dumbest fucking name I have ever fucking heard.
They couldn't get the trademark.
I know they couldn't get the trademark. Anyway. But like, I like some of the other, like, my 2 favorites beside Grimlock are Swoop and Snarl. They were always my favorites from the G1 cartoon, and I'm interested to see where Mike Johnson and Margaret Scott take the Beast Hunters ongoing that's starting next month, because I'm interested to see if the show and the comic will cross over.
Yeah, they're supposed to be on there.
Yeah.
To go back to your original question of what I'm reading, I've kind of given up on Marvel, except for Thanos Rising. I'm reading that right now. I don't know if the second issue is out yet, but I've been reading that. Let's see. Also reading Invincible. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it.
Nope.
I think I have, but I don't know.
I can't remember who publishes it. I want to say Image publishes it. Yeah, it's an Image. It's by a guy named, it's by Kirkman, Walker, and Crabtree.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like what would happen if a normal teenager got superpowers, but he was actually the son of that world's Superman and Lois Lane.
But Lois's uterus isn't strong enough to hold Superman's baby. Oh, I'm sorry. Bad Mallrats joke.
Let's just say it's a lot more violent than DC or Marvel would ever let their comics be. And
so basically what you're saying is this is a cross between Punisher, Warzone, and Kick-Ass. Because it's, what if a regular person was a superhero? Oh, God, I hate Kick-Ass. That movie sucked.
What?
You heard me. That's the dumbest friggin' movie.
Well, that's
the movie was fine. I didn't care so much for the comic. Because after I saw the movie before I read the comic. Mm-hmm. And I liked the movie better.
Crap.
Plus, of course, there's Nicolas Cage. And Nicolas Cage makes a lot of things better sometimes.
And a lot of things worse.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Like his own personal finances.
And Ghost Rider.
Let's not go there.
Anyways.
I
was reading the Ninja Turtle comics for a while, too. Those were really good. I think I got to maybe like 14, 15.
Yeah,
it was actually a really good story. I was liking how dark it was and everything. I was enjoying it.
Yeah. With my local comic shop, they just last week they sent out their list to let them know what you want to get, and I saw the listing for TMNT Secret Origin of the Foot Clan or whatever else, and I looked it up online. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't need to get into Ninja Turtle comics. I've got too many things already that I'm currently into, because I spend anywhere from $75, $80 a month on comics. That's too much, in my opinion. That's better than spending, $700 on all of Revenge of the Fallen toys, but...
Yeah?
What are you guys, Scotty, what are you looking forward to? Spada. Scotty, what are you looking forward to in the upcoming months from comics?
Well, it's actually funny that we're talking about it now, because I'm going to C2E2 this weekend.
Nice.
And since we work for the website, we get all of these indie artists that throw themselves at us and give us their comics. And a lot of indie work is really, really good, and they don't get the credit they deserve, quite yet anyway. Hopefully they can, make it up. But they'll or even and sometimes we even buy them if it's interesting enough, But there's just a lot of good indie work. But so I can't particularly tell you like what comic I'm looking forward to, but I'm looking forward to this weekend because I know I'm going to find some.
Awesome. Yeah, I listened to another podcast, Earth2.net, the show. Michael David Sims on there told us, because he does every month, he goes through the previews catalog and highlights what he thinks his listeners would be interested in telling their shops that they want. And one of the things was, apparently he knows the creator of this comic, but Burning Building Comics, where each panel is a story from each level of this apartment building. And I think that's a really unique way of telling a comic book story.
Exactly. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome.
I might have to find that when it comes out. I think it comes out in June. I'm gonna have to get back with Mike and ask him about that when it comes out.
It's also kind of neat to see. We've been going to C2E2 now for a few years now, and it's kind of neat to see like, hey, this is a brand new comic. I'm very new to the show. And the second year, he's got a little bit more following. And the third year, there might be a little line for autographs. And the fourth year, he's got a couple toys. And it's just like, it's kind of neat to see some of the indie guys that are kind of making a name for themselves. You know what I mean? And they'll do drawings on the side, and people are kind of lining up at their booth. When you remember the year before that, there wasn't anybody there. So
yeah, it was a ghost town.
Yep.
Yeah, so awesome. All right, well, we are going to hear a message from Grimlock himself, and we're going to come back to talk about Transformers Fall of Cybertron one-shot. That is the collected digital 6 issues from IDW's Fall of Cybertron, Origin of the Dinobots, after this.
Me Grimlock, not podcaster. Me Grimlock King.
All right, we are back, and as I said before, we are here in the second part of this episode to talk about the Transformers Fall of Cybertron one-shot print issue. This basically collects the mini-series, 6-issue mini-series that was an IDW digital first for the Origin of the Dinobots. You've got Barber on the writing and Verma on the art. Verma is very new. Like, this was this seems to be like the first thing he's ever done.
I don't really care for this style of art. I don't really care for like the scratchy lines, kind of sloppy. I mean, I don't mind it, and it's good for a change, but I would definitely not prefer it over like, you know, almost a Jason Todd, which would have not been an artist at all. Just anything besides the scratchy, scribbly crap.
I will say that this book just... One of the things that I don't like about the way they did the one-shot is they did, like, every other trade that I've gotten to this point has, like, I can pick up More Than Meets the Eye Volume 2, and it starts out with titles, and it starts out with the actual original cover A, More Than Meets the Eye number 4, and that's how the issue 4 starts. This, in this one-shot, it has the... You know, it has an advertisement, and then it just goes straight into the story. I would have liked if they had included the actual covers in this thing to separate the 6 issues.
Yeah, just add a little bit more, just like a little bit more to the book. You know, that's always... I completely agree with that. I'm having trouble placing where this book should go. I know what you said, Mike, where I don't know if that was your opinion or if you read that somewhere, but it's just kind of hard to place where this book is in the Fall of Cybertron universe.
Well, this happens before the events of the game.
Okay, so the Fall of Cybertron is the second game, correct?
Right. So this happens between War of Cyber... Whatever the fuck the first name of the game is. War for Cybertron and then Fall of Cybertron. This happens in between that.
Right, okay.
And honestly, the story is good. I like Grimlock's narration. I like the fact that I just have such a weird time hearing coherent thoughts out of the Dinobots.
Yes, me too. I didn't really like that.
I like it. I think it's interesting because it's not just playing up to, oh, me, G1 Grimlock, me dumb. I get it. They have to be military. I get that they have to tell a story, and it's all well and good, but when I first started reading Dinobot stuff, I was like, this is so weird to me, hearing actual, coherent words coming out of these Transformers. Spada, what are some of your thoughts on this thing?
It's a weird series of books. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's just kind of odd. I mean, like Scotty said, it is very hard to determine where in the pantheon it goes. And it's confusing because, I mean, here all of a sudden we've got this book that takes place between the games that has nothing to do with the ongoing series. Mm-hmm. And then eventually it's supposed to fold back into these ongoing series or another series called the Primal Rage of the Dinobots, which takes place in the Transformers Prime universe. Yeah. It's like, which one is it?
Right. Yeah, make up your freaking mind.
Yeah.
The one thing I do like about this, I like seeing the Fall of Cybertron Shockwave design in comic form. I think that was like one of the... Even though he looks like a skinny little bitch, I just love his design compared to what we have in Transformers Prime with that Shockwave's design. I like how different the two of them are. As far as the overall aesthetics.
I also have to agree with Scotty. I do not like this art. Everyone looks top-heavy. Yeah. Everyone looks just weird. And there's no real cohesion with any of their other art. It's just odd. And it's for the price, it is super short.
Yeah, for $8, I actually...
Now is $8 the cost of the entire collection?
Yeah, one. Okay. I've got it in my hand right now. Transformers Fall of Cybertron IDW one shot, $7.99.
It's funny that you say that because I even refused to buy it.
Yeah, I had to. Off air, Spada tried to send Scotty the file to quote unquote download this. We do not recommend doing that, ladies and gentlemen, but Scotty couldn't get the file to open, so I actually went out and I bought a second copy of the book and I sent it to Scotty so he could have it, so he could do this episode.
Yeah, so I sent your exact words back. I'll just buy the mother effer and send it to you. That's what.
Yeah, I was like,
okay.
Yeah, I just what I do like is close to the end when we're in Shockwave's lab. It's probably I guess again one of the reasons why I think they should have had the covers in here to tell us when one part of the story ends and the next part begins. That's why I like having covers in trades to break up the. It still tells a coherent story, but it still gives you like a place marker. At the end, there's a panel where it's Shockwave sends, "My name shall be the only name you know," and it's basically Grimlock reverting to his slurred speech of "No, no, no, cannot," and because obviously Shockwave's experimenting on him. What I love about this art is, I love how Shockwave looks, and I love how they do the transition from red to blue eyes, from blue to red eyes.
Yeah, let's say blue to red.
Yeah, with Grimlock. I thought that was absolutely great. And like on the second to last page, when Grimlock's munching metal, I love that dinosaur shot of him. I thought that was really great. Other than that, the story for me it was okay, it was good, it was slightly interesting, but like we've said, it's basically, how are we supposed to take this? Are we supposed to read this, then read Rage of the Dinobots? Are we supposed to play the first game, read this, then play the second game?
Wait.
I know the ending events of how this book, and Spada can obviously expound on this because he's played the game. The game is supposed to pick up where the events of this left off, right?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, ish, yes.
Yeah, the event, it's really hard to tell where the events of the game take place because, if you played the first one, Prime has got a certain form, you've just defeated Trypticon, okay. You don't really know how much time has passed. There's no context given other than war, and Prime has a new body. Why?
Yeah, I hate the Fall of Cybertron Optimus Prime.
I will admit, in vehicle mode, it looks awesome. They have said it's supposed to be like a giant fist on wheels. That was the design aesthetic. I think that looks good, but...
You talking about Optimus?
Optimus.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not Optimus, though.
Right. Well, because I didn't... I mean, sometimes I dislike when they switch origin stories, because this is definitely not the Dinobots' origin story. You know what I mean? This is not how the Dinobots were created. Grimlock was supposed to be stupid anyway, and he was never a vehicle. So he comes out and he's a vehicle, or like a tank. Go ahead, what were you going to say, Spada?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, this is not the G1 origin. This is something completely new and different.
And sometimes I have to stop and remind myself of that, because I will automatically hate something because they're trying to change it. So I have to go in with an open mind. So I'm like, okay, fine. I was like, first of all, I didn't like that he wasn't G1 Grimlock and he wasn't stupid. But towards the end, you see that Shockwave is trying to destroy his mind. That way he can be, fully in charge of his mind and body, like he stated 57 times in the last two pages.
Yeah.
But which then makes him G1 Grimlock, where he just, he still has that mentality of G1 Grimlock because he didn't care about what Optimus Prime said, and he was going to do what he wanted to do. And fine, you can sit on the battlefield, and you can make all the planes you want. Well, I'm gonna go smash these guys.
Well,
Yeah.
the one thing that was described, I can't remember if it was in the comic or the game. I think it was the game. Shockwave actually mentioned why Grimlock's mind got dumber, or why he had to take out part of Grimlock's mind. It wasn't because he wanted to make him fully controllable. It was because the alt mode was generating so much power. In order to compensate for that power, he had to remove parts of Grimlock's higher functions in order for his body not to shut down.
I think that was the comic.
And I'm sitting there reading that going, that makes no freaking sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. I will say if the listeners are interested in picking up a different origin of the Dinobots, I would say get this. I do like how the overall aspect between this, the game, and how Matt Teacher and High Moon basically got dinosaurs on Cybertron. I like the whole thing of, Shockwave was, scouring the planets and saw Earth, and Because let's face it, the Transformers War has been going on for 5-6 million years, so you'd think that at some point Shockwave would have seen dinosaurs. So I like how they kind of work around the whole thing of, hey, let's have a dinosaur on Cybertron. Like, I like how they work around that, but...
And I like how they say, at one point, Slug goes, "Why did I end up with something so ugly?" And Grimlock says, "Oh, you haven't seen me yet."
Yeah.
And then when they see Swoop for the first time, they're like, "Swoop, what the heck are you?" And he's like, "I don't know."
He's like, "Yeah, let's not talk about it right now."
Yeah, he's like, "Can we please not talk about it?" And then they find Sludge's alt mode, and they're like, "Was this going to be Sludge?" "Yeah, I think so." Ugh.
Yeah, it's if you want a really different read on the Dinobots, and I mean, Shockwave's character is essentially the same throughout any continuity. He's the experimenter, he's the scientist, he's the one that's going to...
He's the evil genius.
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, Shockwave's character doesn't change, but there are certain characteristics of each of the Dinobots that aren't what you would normally do, but honestly, I don't know if I can recommend people pick this thing up.
Shockwave was a little different in this comic because normally, he's just going to do whatever Megatron says. But in this comic, or the online series or whatever the hell you want to call it, he was trying to make the Dinobots, his minions or whatever, because Megatron and Starscream didn't understand the things that he was trying to do for big picture. So he never came out and said that he was going to try to take over Megatron, but he was kind of saying, with you guys under my command, I can do kind of some of the stuff I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, I like that part. Honestly, I had more, because actually I had read Prime Rage of the Dinobots before I read this, because obviously it hadn't come out yet, but I enjoyed the characterizations done in Rage of the Dinobots more.
No doubt about it.
Than I did here. I honestly probably can't recommend this even to a new reader. I just...
Not for $8 anyway, because no. And that's pretty much why I didn't get it, because I told our comic guy, the guy that runs Killing Enterprises comics, anything that you think I'm going to want, pull for me, and I'll come and pick it up or whatever on every other Wednesday or Wednesday. You just call me or whatever, and I get there and he's like, "Here's this one shot." And I was like, "Oh, cool! It's got Grimlock on the front. How much is it?" And I'm flipping through it, and he's like, "That's $8." And I'm like, "Well, you're out of your damn mind." I'm not, and like you said, Spada, it's way too small for $8.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy.
Now, given what we have here, I think what has been done with Grimlock in IDW has been much more interesting, like what they did over the past couple of years.
Right.
Where you've got the entirety of the Dinobot squad just royally effing pissed at Grimlock, and they pretty much said, "No, screw you. We don't want anything to do with you."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I do really enjoy probably my favorite part of the comic is when Swoop gets taken, and they're like, "Well, what are we going to do?" And he's like, "Well, we can't leave him behind. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in there undetected. Try to not to make any noise. Just keep to yourselves. We'll get in and out." And I think it's like Sludge or somebody's like, "Really?" And he's like, "No. Have we ever done that? We smash everything, kill everybody, get our guy, and get the hell out of there." I kind of like that. Just when I was reading, I was kind of like, "Really? Okay." And that's kind of that's kind of like, what Sludge was thinking or whatever. And he's like, "That's what we're doing?"
Yeah.
It's like,
Dinobots punch of kill everything.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yes. So we will be back in future episodes of the Pull Bag. We're going to be, at least Scotty and I don't know if Spade is interested in doing this, we are going to cover Rage of the Dinobots. And then once the ongoing Beast Hunter starts, we'll definitely be covering that. So I'm not sure how that's going to go.
So are they actually making a comic of Beast Hunters?
Yes.
Okay, Beast Hunters, what happens is you take Rage of the Dinobots. At the end of that team of Margaret Scott and Mike Johnson, the writers, with I don't have the Prime Dinobots issue in front of me, but the writing and art team on that 4-issue miniseries has now stepped up to an ongoing, and at the same time as the cartoon's going on with what's going on Earth, they're going to be telling stories of what Grimlock and the Dinobots are doing on Cybertron. And
so wait, the Dinobots are on Cybertron, even though Shockwave and the Decepticons and Team Prime were on Cybertron.
They're on Earth.
Shockwave was on Cybertron.
Yeah, Shockwave was on Cybertron, but that's I think where it's going to cross, because Shockwave keeps going back and forth between Earth and Cybertron, or at least he has in the first 4 episodes of Beast Hunters Transformers Prime Season 3. So I don't know. It's basically I heard an interview with Margaret Scott on the Underbase with Lady Wreck, and she said that we want to be able to tell our own stories, but at the same time, if it does cross over, we'll approach that when we get there.
I'm really hoping that they start fresh on the situation, and maybe they can recreate like in G1, or maybe even have Shockwave create them. But I don't want them to automatically just be in the back corner of Cybertron Lost, because haven't they already ran beacons and they couldn't find anybody, and there was nobody on Cybertron, and everybody's dead for sure, and now it's going to be everybody was dead except for these guys.
Well, no, yeah, as far as the show goes, probably. As far as the comic goes, it's going to pick up. Beast Hunter is number 1. I haven't read too much about it, but as far as what I understand, listening to the writers talk about it, it's taking place right from where Rage ended. So it's not Transformers Prime Beast Hunters is not going to be number 1 is not going to be another origin story. It's going to pick up from the events of Rage of the Dinobots number 4.
I'm going to have to reread that again before we speak again, because that doesn't make much sense to me. I'm sure it does. I don't remember correctly, because I read this one shot 3 or 4 times just pounded in my brain. So I've kind of tried to erase Rage of the Dinobots.
I would have switched it. I would have tried to erase this.
Well, I'm saying just for the podcast, because Rage of the Dinobots was amazing, and this
it was
okay.
So good. If the Dinobots do get on the show for season 3,
yeah, right.
Please, I said if. Come on, I said if. Don't right me. If they do, please, Hasbro, please, Transformers Prime voice director. Bring back Greg Berger and Michael Bell as Swoop and Grimlock, please. That would be so awesome having them.
I got bad news for you, Mike.
Shut up, Scott.
Okay, I'm just saying, it's probably not going to happen. That would be awesome, though.
You never know. I don't know. Because with this being the last season of the cartoon, or this iteration of the cartoon, you never know what kind of stops they're going to pull out.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
Is it really? That sucks.
Yeah, they are.
Cartoon's so good.
I have read and I have heard that the same team that is working on Transformers Prime, the animated series, will be working on the next incarnation.
Wait, the team that made Transformers animated?
No.
You said animated.
No, I didn't. I said Transformers Prime. I said the same team that's currently working on Transformers Prime, the cartoons, the animated series. Transformers Prime, the animated series. That's how they advertised it when it first came out. The same team that's currently working on the current cartoon will be hopefully going over to work on whatever the next new cartoon will be in 2014. So hopefully there won't be too much of a changeover.
Hasbro is starting to turn into Activision. Except with, instead of a Call of Duty every year, it's a new Transformers season every year.
Well, it's better than, what is it, almost 10 years since the last He-Man cartoon, or it's 11 years since the last He-Man cartoon, so at least Transformers has stayed in the limelight.
If He-Man toys sold, we would still have He-Man.
Mattel sold them in stars, yes.
If they weren't $90,000 per figure, yes.
All right.
Not to switch it up too much, because we're talking about great cartoonage here that will eventually get canceled. G.I. Joe Renegade was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they need to bring that back.
That ended really well. That ended very
strongly.
Ended
really well, but they need to bring that back.
I can't believe they are. I mean, it was kind of like a cult classic, if you will, because when it aired, it wasn't watched as much as after the fact and Netflix. Well, it was too late then, you know.
Well, you know what they did? They took G.I. Joe Renegades and turned it into a movie. A live-action movie.
Which was what?
The one that's in theaters right now.
Retaliation. Yeah, that's what they did.
Well, you know what they should have done was not do that. Because G.I. Joe Retaliation is god-awful as a G.I. Joe movie. If it was like, hey, look at this, this is Bruce Willis and The Rock in this action movie, you'd be like, oh, this was a good-ass movie. But you wait for Roadblock to do one rhyme, you wait for Roadblock or anybody to give one Yo Joe. First of all, Roadblock's never, ever been a leader, ever. But nope. Roadblock is apparently the leader of the G.I. Joe now.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe's a real person.
Well, that's because Roadblock isn't Roadblock. Roadblock is The Rock. But as we're...
G.I. Joe and G.I. Jane were real people in the original Marvel comics.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, okay. They were real people during like the 60s and 70s. They were the reason G.I. Joe was created in the first place.
Well, I know G.I. Joe was the doll, but I never knew he was in the cartoons or the comics.
He wasn't in the cartoons. He was in the comics, though. There was a G.I. Joe and a G.I. Jane.
Gotcha. And then they made G.I. Jane, the movie with Demi Moore, and she shaved her head.
And on that note, back to the Dinobots. We'll catch you next time here in the pullback. Oh my god, this was another train wreck. Holy crap, you guys. So
me Grimlock smash!
Oh, Lord. We will catch you next time. Keep reading those comics.
Me Grimlock kick butt. Me Grimlock need new strategy.
You just heard the latest episode of The Pullback, GCRN's comic book review podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @GeekCastRadio. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.